You ever notice how silence can be louder than words? How it can change a room, change a moment, change you? Sometimes we think we always have to speak up to be heard, to say our piece. But let me tell you something, there are moments in life where the greatest power you can have is the power of silence. Yeah, you heard me right. I'm talking about those times when holding back your words shows more strength, more wisdom, and more discipline than letting them fly. It's not easy. In fact, it's one of the hardest things to do. But if you master the art of knowing when to be silent, you'll learn that not everything needs your voice. When you're angry, and I mean really angry, hold that silence, because in that rage, your words can cut deeper than you ever intended. You could tear down years of trust in a second. In those moments when your heart's racing and you want to fire back, hold it. Silence can save you from a lifetime of regret. When you're about to speak out of jealousy or envy, pause. That silence can protect your integrity, your dignity. We're all human. We see someone else's success, their shine, and sometimes we feel like we're missing out. But speaking from that place will only dim your own light. Stay quiet and remember that what's meant for you will come in its own time. If you don't have all the facts, be silent. Too many of us speak without understanding the full picture, and that can create confusion, misunderstandings, and pain. Instead of jumping to conclusions, take a breath. Silence gives you the time to reflect and get the truth straight. Another time to stay quiet is when someone is sharing their pain, their grief, their struggle. We're always so quick to offer advice or fix someone else's problems, but sometimes what they really need is your presence, not your words. Let your silence be your support. Let it say, "I'm here for you." Then there are those moments when you know speaking up will only escalate a situation. You're in the heat of an argument, tensions rising, and you want to have the last word. But is that word really worth it? Silence in that moment could bring peace. It could end the war before it even starts. When it's not your story to tell, be silent. I can't stress this enough. People's lives, their struggles, their triumphs, those are their stories, not yours. Respect their journey by holding your tongue. And lastly, be silent when your ego wants to speak. There's power in humility. You don't need to boast, to prove yourself, to one-up the next person. Let your actions speak for you. Let your silence speak for you. Because in that quiet, you'll find the confidence that no amount of words can give you. So the next time you're in a moment where you feel the urge to speak, ask yourself, is this one of those times? Is this one of those moments when silence could be my strength? Silence carries a unique power that is often overlooked. In a world where people are constantly talking, sharing opinions, and fighting to be heard, silence can stand out more than anything said aloud. It has a way of commanding attention, making people listen not because of what you say, but because of what you choose not to say. Silence can express wisdom, restraint, and maturity in ways that words cannot. When you remain silent in crucial moments, it shows a deep level of self-control. You demonstrate that you are not ruled by impulse, anger, or the need to prove yourself. Instead, you're guided by a sense of purpose and awareness. That silence gives you time to think, to reflect, and to understand the situation fully before responding. It's a form of strength that says, I don't need to speak to show my power. My silence speaks for me. There are times when silence conveys respect for others and for yourself. It can show that you are listening deeply, absorbing what's happening around you without rushing to react. That kind of presence in silence can be more comforting, more powerful, and more meaningful than any words could ever be. And it's not just about holding back. It's about knowing that sometimes the wisest thing you can do is let the moment breathe, let the silence settle, and trust that it will carry the weight that words cannot. When anger takes over, it can cloud your judgment and make you say things you don't truly mean. In those moments of heated emotion, words can become weapons sharp and reckless, aimed to hurt the people around you. Silence in these moments is a form of protection. It stops you from saying something that could leave lasting scars, something you can't take back. By holding your tongue when you're angry, you're not just showing control over the situation, but also over yourself. You're resisting the urge to react impulsively and giving yourself the space to cool down before making any decision. Silence during anger isn't about suppressing your emotions. It's about mastering them. It's about recognizing that what you say in that moment could cause damage far beyond what you intended. Relationships can be broken, trust can be shattered, and wounds can be created that take years to heal, all because of words spoken in a moment of fury. But silence gives you the time to process, to think through your emotions and consider the consequences of what you might say. It allows you to approach the situation with a calmer mind, ensuring that when you do speak, your words carry meaning and aren't just fueled by raw emotion. This kind of silence is powerful because it prevents regret. It stops you from pouring fuel on the fire and instead creates a space for understanding, for peace, and for resolution when the time is right to speak. When you feel jealousy or envy bubbling up inside you, the urge to speak out can be strong. You might want to criticize someone's success or diminish their achievements just to make yourself feel better in the moment. But speaking from that place of envy doesn't change anything about your own situation, and it can harm your relationships, your reputation, and your sense of self. When you let jealousy dictate your words, you end up revealing your insecurities more than anything else. Silence, in these moments, is a shield that protects your integrity and keeps you from speaking in a way you'll later regret. Choosing to stay silent when envy creeps and shows maturity. It's an acknowledgement that someone else's success doesn't take away from your own potential. By holding back those bitter words, you give yourself the chance to reflect on why you're feeling jealous in the first place. That silence creates room for growth because instead of tearing someone else down, you're able to focus on your own path and what you can do to achieve your own goals. Jealousy, when expressed through words, can come across as bitterness or pettiness, but silence allows you to avoid those traps. It gives you the chance to regain your composure and choose a response that aligns with your true values. Sometimes that silence even opens the door for you to appreciate or learn from someone else's accomplishments, turning what could have been a moment of envy into one of inspiration. Speaking without knowing all the facts is a dangerous trap that many fall into. When you don't have the full picture and you rush to say something, you risk spreading misinformation, creating misunderstandings, and even causing harm unintentionally. Words spoken in ignorance can damage reputations, break trust, and stir unnecessary conflict. Silence in these moments is a sign of wisdom and restraint. It shows that you understand the value of patience and are willing to wait till you have a clearer understanding of the situation before offering your opinion or judgment. Being silent when you don't have all the facts also protects your credibility. Once you've spoken, it's hard to take those words back, especially if they were based on assumptions or incomplete information. People will remember what you said, and even if you later correct yourself, the damage might already be done. Silence, on the other hand, gives you time to gather the necessary details, reflect on what's really happening, and make an informed decision about what, if anything, needs to be said. It helps you avoid making statements that you'll later have to retract or apologize for. In a world where everyone is eager to share their opinions and jump to conclusions, remaining silent until you have all the facts sets you apart. It shows that you prioritize accuracy and thoughtfulness over the rush to speak. It also demonstrates respect for the complexity of situations, acknowledging that there are often layers and perspectives that aren't immediately visible. By choosing silence in these moments, you position yourself as someone who values truth over impulsiveness and wisdom over hastiness. When someone is going through pain, grief, or a personal struggle, our natural instinct is often to offer advice, solutions, or comforting words. We want to help, to fix things, and to make the person feel better. However, in many situations, the best thing you can offer is your silence. In those moments, silence doesn't mean indifference, it means presence. It shows that you are there, listening, fully engaged, without trying to impose your thoughts or rush the healing process. Sometimes, words can feel empty, especially when they fail to match the depth of someone's pain. Silence, on the other hand, can speak volumes. When someone is hurting, they often don't need answers, they need to feel heard. By staying silent, you allow them the space to express their emotions, to process what they're feeling, and to find their own way through the pain. Silence creates a safe environment where the person can open up without the pressure of hearing responses or judgments. In moments of deep grief, there's often nothing you can say that will truly make the situation better, but your silent presence can be a source of strength and comfort. Being silent also helps you avoid saying things that, although well-intentioned, might come across as dismissive or out of touch. Phrases like "everything happens for a reason," or "it'll get better" can feel hollow or even hurtful in the face of real suffering. By choosing silence, you avoid the risk of minimizing their experience. Instead, your silence says, I see your pain. I'm here with you. It allows the person to feel supported without the need for quick fixes or forced positivity. In many cases, silence can communicate more empathy than words ever could. It shows that you respect their journey, their emotions, and their need to express those emotions in their own time. Sometimes, all a person needs is to sit with someone in the quiet, knowing they're not alone. Silence in these moments is not passive, it is powerful. It lets the person know that you're walking alongside them without the need for constant conversation or advice. In moments of rising tension, when emotions are running high and arguments seem inevitable, the urge to speak up and defend yourself can be overwhelming. You may feel the need to have the last word, to prove a point, or to make sure your voice is heard. However, in these situations, silence can be the most powerful tool you have to prevent further conflict. Speaking in the heat of the moment often escalates the situation, fueling the argument and making it harder to resolve. Silence, on the other hand, can act as a cooling force, diffusing the tension and giving everyone involved the chance to take a step back. When an argument is brewing, words can easily become weapons, and once spoken, they can be impossible to take back. You may say things you don't mean or that are harsher than intended, causing unnecessary hurt and making the conflict even worse. Choosing silence in these moments gives you the space to collect your thoughts, calm your emotions, and respond in a more measured, thoughtful way if a response is even necessary. It also shows maturity and self-control, signaling that you value peace and understanding over winning the argument. Silence during an argument doesn't mean you're backing down or conceding defeat. In fact, it can be a way of maintaining your dignity and protecting the relationship. By choosing not to engage in a heated exchange, you show that you are above the petty need to always be right or to dominate the conversation. Instead, you prioritize the bigger picture, whether that's preserving the relationship or simply avoiding unnecessary drama. Your silence can be a way of de-escalating the situation and giving both parties the space to cool down and think more clearly. Sometimes, silence can also help the other person reflect on their own words and actions. When you stop responding, it forces them to consider whether continuing the argument is even worth it. They may realize that the conversation is spiraling out of control, and that silence could be the best way to bring it to a peaceful close. In these moments, silence becomes a tool, not just for your own peace of mind, but for the overall resolution of the conflict. It creates room for understanding, for clarity, and for healing. When it comes to sharing personal stories, experiences, or struggles, there's a fine line between what's yours to tell and what belongs to someone else. It can be tempting to share someone else's personal life details, whether it's in conversation with friends, in casual gossip, or even in what feels like an innocent retelling. But when it's not your story to tell, the best thing you can do is remain silent. Choosing silence in these moments shows respect for the privacy and boundaries of others. It honors their right to decide when, how, and with whom their story is shared. Speaking out of turn about someone else's life can lead to unintended consequences. You might not be fully aware of all the details, or there may be aspects of their story that they aren't ready or willing to make public. By sharing it prematurely or without their consent, you risk betraying their trust and potentially causing harm. Silence, in this case, is an acknowledgement that their journey is theirs to navigate, and it's not your place to take control of that narrative. Respecting someone's privacy also means understanding that they may be going through something personal that they're not ready to discuss. Even if you think your intentions are good or your sharing comes from a place of caring, your words could expose them to judgment, scrutiny, or gossip they didn't ask for. Silence protects them from this, allowing them the freedom to open up on their own terms when they feel safe and ready. It shows that you're a trusted confidant, someone who values their autonomy and is sensitive to the weight of their experience. Additionally, silence in these situations demonstrates humility and empathy. It says, I don't need to be the one to tell this story, because it's not about me, it's a way of stepping back and giving the spotlight to the person who owns that experience. Instead of centering yourself in the narrative, you allow them the space to share what they choose, when they choose. This restraint reflects a deep level of emotional intelligence, as it shows you understand that not all information is yours to control or broadcast. Ultimately, choosing silence when it's not your story to tell strengthens relationships. It builds trust and mutual respect, letting people know that their vulnerabilities are safe with you. In a world where so much of life is shared, retweeted, and broadcasted without thought, your silence can be a rare and precious gift, one that honors the dignity of others and gives them the power to own their own voice. In the heat of an argument, it's natural to want the last word. That urge to prove you're right, to make your point heard loud and clear, or to defend yourself can be overwhelming. But the truth is, trying to get the last word rarely leads to resolution. In fact, it often prolongs the conflict, dragging it out further and escalating the tension. Silence in these moments can be the key to diffusing the situation. By choosing to stay quiet instead of adding fuel to the fire, you take control not of the argument, but of yourself. You show that you're not driven by ego, by the need to be right, but by a desire for peace and understanding. When you insist on having the last word, the focus shifts from solving the issue to winning the battle. The conversation becomes less about finding common ground and more about personal victory. This can damage relationships, creating rifts that are hard to mend. Silence, on the other hand, is a way of stepping back and seeing the bigger picture. It allows you to rise above the conflict, to prioritize the relationship over the need to prove yourself. You can ask yourself, is having the last word really worth the cost? More often than not, the answer is no. Silence also gives the other person a chance to reflect. In the midst of an argument, emotions can run high, and people often say things they don't mean, or that come from a place of hurt rather than reason. By choosing silence, you create a pause, a moment for both of you to cool down and think more clearly. This pause can prevent the argument from spiraling out of control and can even lead to a more productive conversation once tempers have cooled. In that silence, understanding can begin to grow, and resolution becomes more likely. There's also a certain power in not needing to have the last word. It shows confidence in yourself and in your position. You don't need to keep talking to assert your point, because you trust that your perspective has already been expressed. By staying silent, you communicate that you don't need to push or force your opinion onto someone else. Your silence says, I've said what I needed to say, and now I'm leaving room for peace. It shifts the dynamic, often disarming the other person, who may be expecting you to continue arguing. Additionally, choosing silence in the face of an escalating argument is a form of respect for both yourself and the other person. It's a recognition that some battles aren't worth fighting, and that sometimes the best way to protect a relationship is by letting go of the need to always be right. Silence in these moments is an act of maturity and self-awareness. It acknowledges that while words have power, so does restraint. And sometimes that restraint can be what preserves the bond between you and the other person, turning potential conflict into an opportunity for growth. In a world where self-promotion and boasting often take center stage, humility can feel like a lost art. Many people have the urge to speak up and share their accomplishments, their successes, and their insights, wanting to showcase their worth and capabilities. However, choosing silence over ego can be a profoundly powerful choice. When you resist the temptation to talk about yourself, you create space for others, allowing their stories, experiences, and voices to shine. This act of humility speaks volumes about your character and your understanding of true confidence. Silence in moments of ego-driven conversation is not a sign of weakness. Rather, it reflects an inner strength. It shows that you are secure enough in yourself to not feel the need to constantly assert your worth. Instead of seeking validation through words, you allow your actions to speak for themselves. Real confidence doesn't need to be verbalized, it is embodied. When you remain silent about your achievements, you demonstrate that you value authenticity over appearance, depth over superficiality. Moreover, choosing silence over ego opens up opportunities for connection and understanding. When you refrain from dominating conversations with your own stories or achievements, you invite others to share theirs. This fosters a sense of community, allowing for deeper conversations and more meaningful relationships. People are often more willing to open up when they feel they are being listened to, rather than overshadowed by someone else's narrative. Your silence can encourage others to express themselves freely, leading to richer and more engaging interactions. In addition, by embracing silence instead of seeking the spotlight, you position yourself as a learner rather than just a teacher. There is always something new to learn from others' experiences, perspectives, and insights. When you stay quiet, you allow yourself the opportunity to absorb knowledge and wisdom that you might miss if you were busy talking about yourself. This attitude of openness not only enhances your understanding of the world around you, but also enriches your personal growth. Choosing silence in the face of ego can also serve as a powerful reminder of the collective journey we all share. Life is not solely about individual achievements, but about the connections we make and the impact we have on others. By holding back your words, you acknowledge that everyone has a story worth sharing, and you give them the space to be heard. This act of humility builds a culture of respect and support, where everyone feels valued and appreciated. Ultimately, silence over ego reflects emotional intelligence. It shows that you recognize the importance of timing and context in conversations. You understand that sometimes the most meaningful contributions come not from speaking but from listening and observing. By prioritizing silence over the need to assert yourself, you create an atmosphere where others feel empowered to express themselves, and you contribute to a deeper sense of connection and understanding. This approach can lead to stronger relationships, greater empathy, and a more supportive community overall. Silence often carries a weight that is much heavier than spoken words. In a culture that emphasizes constant communication and the sharing of thoughts, embracing silence can feel counterintuitive. However, choosing silence can be a profound expression of confidence and self-assuredness. It reflects a deep understanding that you do not always need to voice your thoughts or opinions to validate your presence or your worth. When you embrace moments of silence, you demonstrate that you trust in the value of your own thoughts and insights without needing to shout them from the rooftops. Choosing silence can also serve as a powerful tool for self-reflection and growth. In our fast-paced lives, we often overlook the importance of taking a step back to consider our thoughts and feelings. When you allow yourself to be silent, you create space for introspection. This silence encourages you to examine your beliefs, values, and aspirations, helping you gain a deeper understanding of yourself. Instead of reacting impulsively, you cultivate a sense of mindfulness, allowing you to respond thoughtfully and intentionally when the time comes to speak. Moreover, silence allows you to truly listen to others, fostering deeper connections and empathy. When you resist the urge to fill every pause with chatter, you open the door to understanding different perspectives and experiences. By choosing to listen, you acknowledge the importance of what others have to say, reinforcing their feelings and encouraging open communication. This practice not only strengthens relationships but also cultivates a more inclusive and collaborative environment. Additionally, embracing silence can enhance your ability to communicate effectively when you do choose to speak. When you're selective about when to voice your thoughts, your words carry more weight. People are more likely to listen when they know you're not just filling the air with noise but are contributing something meaningful. This approach creates an atmosphere of respect, where your insights are valued because they are offered thoughtfully rather than reflexively. Silence also enables you to observe the world around you. In our busy lives, it's easy to become absorbed in our own thoughts and experiences, missing out on the richness of life unfolding around us. By being silent, you become more attuned to the nuances of your environment, the emotions of others, the beauty of nature, or the subtleties in a conversation. This heightened awareness allows you to engage more fully with the world, enriching your experiences and interactions. Finally, embracing silence can empower you to stand firm in your beliefs and values without needing to justify them constantly. It reflects an inner strength that says, I know who I am and what I believe. You don't need the approval or validation of others through constant explanation or debate. This quiet confidence sets a powerful example for those around you, inspiring them to embrace their own voices while understanding that silence can also be a profound expression of strength. In conclusion, choosing silence over the constant need to speak allows you to cultivate self-awareness, deepen connections, and enhance your communication skills. It reflects confidence, maturity, and a commitment to authenticity. By recognizing the power of silence, you open yourself up to a world of possibilities, enabling richer interactions and a more profound understanding of yourself and others. In a world that often prioritizes noise, your embrace of silence can serve as a powerful testament to your strength and character. Choosing silence over speech in various situations not only reflects maturity but also fosters a profound sense of self-awareness and confidence. It demonstrates that you understand your value doesn't solely hinge on your ability to articulate thoughts or dominate conversations. In a world that often equates noise with importance, the choice to remain silent can be a radical act of self-assurance. It allows you to communicate that you don't need constant validation from others. Your worth is inherent, not contingent upon how much you say or how loudly you say it. In many cases, silence can create a space for introspection. When you refrain from speaking, you give yourself the opportunity to process your thoughts and feelings fully. Instead of rushing to fill the silence with words, you can reflect on what truly matters, how you feel, and what your next step should be. This introspective silence can lead to deeper insights and a clearer understanding of your own beliefs and values. It encourages you to listen to your inner voice rather than the clamor of external opinions or pressures. Additionally, silence cultivates patience. In a fast-paced world that often glorifies immediacy, learning to sit with silence can be a powerful practice. It teaches you to appreciate the moment, to allow ideas to simmer and develop, rather than forcing them into verbal expression before they are ready. This patience can enhance your decision-making process, enabling you to approach situations thoughtfully rather than impulsively. It allows you to weigh your options and consider the implications of your words before letting them escape your lips. Moreover, when you choose silence in conversations, you often find that the act of listening can lead to greater understanding. It opens the door for others to share their perspectives and experiences. By allowing them to express themselves without interruption, you create an environment of respect and trust. This active listening not only enhances your relationships but also broadens your horizons, exposing you to new ideas and viewpoints that can enrich your understanding of the world. It fosters a sense of empathy and connection as you truly engage with what others are saying, rather than merely waiting for your turn to speak. Silence also empowers you to choose your moments wisely. By discerning when to speak and when to remain quiet, you become more intentional in your communication. Your words, when they do come, will carry more weight because they are chosen thoughtfully rather than scattered throughout every conversation. This intentionality can lead to deeper, more meaningful interactions as your contributions become valued for their quality rather than their quantity. Ultimately, embracing silence fosters resilience. It prepares you to face uncomfortable situations without feeling the pressure to fill the space with words. This resilience allows you to maintain your composure in challenging circumstances, reinforcing the idea that it's okay to be quiet. It teaches you that vulnerability can exist in silence, that it's perfectly acceptable to sit with discomfort rather than rush to alleviate it with chatter. In the end, the practice of choosing silence in moments where it is appropriate can transform not only how you communicate but also how you perceive yourself and others. It builds a foundation of confidence and self-awareness that is deeply rooted in understanding the value of presence over performance. This silent strength empowers you to navigate life with grace, turning even the quiet moments into opportunities for growth, connection, and authenticity. In conclusion, the power of silence cannot be underestimated. It is a choice that speaks volumes about our character, emotional intelligence, and maturity. By understanding the times when silence is not just golden but essential, we learn to navigate life's complexities with greater wisdom and grace. We protect ourselves and our relationships by holding back our words during moments of anger, jealousy, and conflict, allowing for deeper connections and more meaningful conversations. Choosing silence shows respect for others' stories, their struggles, and their journeys. It enables us to listen actively and absorb the richness of the world around us. In a society that often values volume over substance, our silence becomes a profound statement of confidence and humility. It teaches us that true strength lies not in constantly asserting ourselves, but in knowing when to step back and let our actions speak for us. So, let us embrace the moments of silence in our lives, recognizing their potential to foster understanding, empathy, and personal growth. Let's remember that sometimes saying nothing is the most powerful thing we can do. In choosing silence wisely, we not only elevate our own lives, but also create an environment where others feel valued and heard. Together, let's cultivate the art of silence, allowing it to enrich our interactions and deepen our connections as we journey through life. Thank you,